What's up everybody? Today we're talking about everyone's favorite orange and jungly map, and that's River. How does one flank on River? Well, today I'm going to show you how. River is just a hilarious map to me because its name and map features would suggest to the player that the majority of fights on this map are going to be water focused. Yet during the actual gameplay, that is simply just not the case. The largest battles on this map are going to circulate between the A and B objective. However, if you have a team that's dominating within the match, those large fights might push to either C or D. Since the majority of fights will likely be taking place between either the A or B objective, we're going to focus on those objectives first. The B objective on River is its own unique Battlebit beast. I'd say it has its most similarities with a frontline or domination match on Sandy Sunset, but that's as far as the comparisons can go for this objective. What makes it so unique is that it's just one big building and that there are these bastions on the top of the building that if players can get to, they become really hard to squeeze out. So my first flanking suggestion for River would be to get your squad up into those bastions and place a squad beacon down. Then you can use that top area to basically flank at will around the B objective, as there are countless weird and unused ways to get down from those high altitude bastions. Now if you're not in the bastion but you are still in the B objective building, then I suggest just using some of the middle levels to run around at will once again. Like with almost all Battlebit buildings in the game, if you're on the middle levels, you pretty much won't run into anyone, and if you do, there'll probably be snipers shooting people outside of the building. If you are outside the B objective and you still want to flank it, this is where things get hard. I recommend using the jungly areas that face the A objective to get you really close to the B objective, so that way you're able to jump into the first level above ground level. Once on that level, it's easier to climb into those middle levels I talked about earlier, and then bam, you can flank it well from there. You do not want to stay on the ground level, as this is where a lot of fights happen and you're going to be getting shot at from many different directions. It's going to be really hard to tell what's going on. Now if for some reason you want to infiltrate the bastions we talked about earlier, your best bet is to go on the inside of the B courtyard and use a grappling hook to scale the entire wall from the inside up to those bastions. Trying to do this from the outside of the B objective is basically a death sentence, as even if you can't see the snipers, they are there and they see you. Now let's talk about the A objective. The A objective is probably one of my favorite objectives to play at on River. There are so many routes around this objective that you can use to flank enemy pockets, and the height differences that you can reach around this objective makes flanking here more of a 3D operation rather than a 2D operation. Like, I do not understand how one could not enjoy climbing up to the cranes and flanking from that position. It's just so much weird fun in a way. But that flanking route is both highly dangerous and highly ineffective, so let's go over some better methods of flanking around the A objective. My favorite and the most fun for me is to actually climb the metal boxes that sit around this objective. Unlike B, the snipers trained on A don't really take you out when you're kind of hopping around the boxes, even when you're on top of them. So this is a great way to get around the pocket of enemies that are in the maze of the boxes below. Now longer but still effective routes include using the boat that's on the water side of the A objective, or just jumping into that water and walking along the wall to flank on either side. The boat is a great place for sneaky squad beacons. And if you're using the water route, while you can't stand for most of the way, you can place boxes in certain areas that will then let you stand in those areas to then shoot a grappling hook up, or just using that box to climb up the wall, which gives you more access points to certain areas of the objective if you are using that route. Another route here that can be effective but is much more dangerous is using the side of A that faces the B objective. It's going to be this fence with some trucks that help block your path, but for obvious reasons you're going to be getting shot at a lot. However, if you can maneuver your way through, it'll be a much quicker route to the pockets of enemies that I talked about earlier. Now if the fight ever moves to C or D, all you gotta really do is hop on a jet ski or a boat and use the river that no one ever really goes on. You're gonna encounter some fire from the riverbanks, but if you can maneuver decently well with your boat, you're gonna get by probably unscathed. On River, there is actually a great system of roads that can pretty much get you to any objective on the map. However, these routes of course run the greater risk of running into either RPG users or tanks. Now let's finish this up with a loadout recommendation. For your weapon, I'd recommend either a long-range SMG or a quick-fire AR. While there are plenty plenty of close combat situations on River. To get there, you're gonna have to cross some pretty long range encounters too. Hence, for your tactical, I'd also recommend bringing smokes so that you can provide yourself with more cover. Finally, for your gadget, make sure you have a grapple hook. You're gonna need it for both the A and B objective. Well, that does it for this episode in my flanking series. River is definitely a weird and unpopular map, but I think it's a pretty fun one. Let me know how your flanking adventures go out there, and I want to thank y'all so much for watching. Peace!